So boys and girls, we finally get to start our book. What's the title?
Boys, Girls, Girls,
Yeah, we've done all the vocabulary for it. And our vocabulary is here on our words matter. Barged. Remember what it means? Ian.
To rudely enter a room.
Very good. To rudely enter a room. How about distorted? Give me a distorted face, everybody. Let me see your distorted faces. Sarah, I love that face. Eli, where's your, there you go. Okay, flabbergasted. Show me a flabbergasted expression. Excellent, Chad. Good, Peyton. How about fluttered? Can you act that out for me? I see almost everyone acting out fluttered. There you go. Gobs. Gobs. We have gobs of shavings and paper sitting in the gerbil cage here, right?
Yes,
There's gobs.
Gobs are small pieces.
Right, piled together, right? So Blake, are you with me? Small pieces piled together. Did I cover all of our words?
Ivory.
Ivory. What's ivory? Andrew.
It's the yellowish white stuff on a elephant's feet.
The tusks that come out. And it's pretty valuable material. In fact, sometimes they poach elephants to take it from them in very inhumane ways. So, Joshua, poach, like kill, hunt them down, kill them just for different properties that they have.
Why don't you just take the tusk and
That's a good question. I think sometimes they, it's easier just to take it when they're dead, because to picture a large elephant. So anyway, okay, so we did 2 predictions this morning. We wanted to guess why the author chose this title, and we've talked about that is because you think there's going to be
a boy and a girl's bathroom.
right. It's pretty easy to infer what that means. And I love this morning I heard one of you use that word. So you're already using that vocabulary. What was the other question? I forget.
Prediction.
Prediction? What was the prediction? What do you think will happen to Bradley? Now, today we're going to read about this classroom. And some of our main characters are Bradley Chalkers. Chad, are you with me?
No, I can hear you. Don't worry.
Okay, I like your eye contact. It's a little more respectful, and I know you're with me when I see you looking with me. Okay?
Okay. I'll try to keep an eye on you.
That would be great. And then Mrs. Ebbles. Mrs. Ebbles is the teacher, and that look you gave me sounds like you already are familiar with Mrs. Ebbles. All right, without further ado, let's begin Chapter 1. Here's a boy in the girls' bathroom. Bradley Chalkers sat at his desk in the back of the room. Last seat, last row. Following along with me on page 3, please. No one sat at the desk next to him or at the one in front of him. He was an island. Right here, and I want you to stay with me, please. If he could have, he would have sat in the closet, and then he could shut the door so he wouldn't have to listen to Mrs. Ebel. He didn't think she'd mind. She'd probably like it better that way too. So would the rest of the class. All in all, he thought everyone would be much happier if he sat in the closet. But unfortunately, he didn't. But unfortunately, his desk didn't fit. Class, said Mrs. Ebel, I would like you all to meet Jeff Fishkin. Jeff has just moved here from Washington, D.C., which, as you know, is our nation's capital. Bradley looked up at the new kid, who was standing in the front of the room next to Miss Ebel. Why don't you tell the class a little bit about yourself, Jeff? Urged Mrs. Ebel. The new kid shrugged. Shrug, boys and girls. Let me see a shrug. It's like, he's shrugging. You think he can't wait to share what's, a little bit about himself?
No,
He just doesn't.
yeah, he can.
Yeah, he can wait, exactly. So the new kid shrugged. Oh, there's no reason to be shy, said Mrs. Ebel. The new kid mumbled something, but Bradley couldn't hear what it was. Have you ever been to the White House, Jeff? Mrs. Ebel asked. I am sure the class would be very interested to hear about it. top of page 4. No, I've never been there, the new kid said very quickly as he shook his head. Mrs. Ebel smiled at him. Well, I guess we better find you a place to sit. She looked around the room. I don't see any place except, I suppose you can sit there at the back. No, not next to Bradley, a girl in the front row exclaimed. At least it's better than in front of Bradley, said the boy next to her. Mrs. Ebel frowned. She turned to Jeff. I'm sorry, but there are no other empty desks. I don't mind where I sit, Jeff mumbled. Well, nobody likes sitting there, said Mrs. Ebel. That's right, Bradley spoke up. Nobody likes sitting next to me. He smiled a strange smile. Follow on with me in the book, honey. He stretched his mouth so wide it was hard to tell whether it was a smile or a frown. Now, boys and girls, whenever you get off track, if you don't know where I am, just raise your hand and I'll come around and point it out in the book. God bless you. Okay? So it's all right if you get off track. Just let me know by raising your hand. I'll just come point it out in the book while I'm reading. Okay? So, Chad, are you back with me or do you need me to point it out?
I'm pretty sure that I heard that the last thing I can remember, the last one that I remember you saying is frown.
Perfect.
I heard everything else.
Excellent. All right, keep staying with me. He stared at Jeff with bulging eyes as Jeff awkwardly sat down next to him. Jeff smiled back at him, so he looked away. As Mrs. Ebel began the lesson, Bradley took out a pencil and a piece of paper and scribbled. He scribbled most of the morning, sometimes on the back and sometimes on his desk. Sometimes on the paper and sometimes on his desk. Sometimes he scribbled so hard his pencil broke, and every time that happened, he laughed. And then he taped the broken point to one of the gobs of junk in his desk. So there's our word, right?
Gobs.
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 Then he taped it to the point to one of the gobs of junk in his desk, sharpen his pencil, and scribble again. His desk was full of little wads, top of page 5, of torn paper, pencil points, chewed erasers, and other unrecognizable stuff, all taped together. If it's unrecognizable, can you recognize it?
No.
So give me a synonym for un. Write it in your dry erase. A synonym for un. If it's unrecognizable, what would be a synonym for that word part or that prefix? Un. You got it, Charlie. Yes, Eli. Good, Ian. My birthday boy. Yes, Kaylee. Very nice. Very tiny. Good. Thank you, Sarah. Good, Andrew. Yep. Natalie. Yep. Waiting on 2 people from team 1. Yes. Very good, Chad. Max, I'm loving it. A synonym for un is what, boys and girls? Not. So it's not recognizable. All right, where was I? Oh, okay. Mrs. Ebel handed back a language test. Well, most of you did very well. I was very pleased. There were 14 A's and the rest B's. Of course, there was an F, but she shrugged her shoulders. Bradley held up his test for everyone to see, and he smiled that same distorted smile. So was that a pleasant smile? If he's smiling, it's kind of like it's a defense mechanism. He's putting on like he doesn't really care, right? It's like, whatever. Do you think inside he cares how he's being treated? Yeah. Of course he does. As Mrs. Ebel went over to the correct answers with the class, Bradley took out his pair of scissors and very carefully cut his test paper into tiny squares.
I'll do that.
When the bell rang for recess, he put on his red jacket and he walked outside alone. Hey, Bradley, wait up! Somebody called after him. Startled, he turned around. Jeff, the new kid, hurried alongside him. Hi, Jeff. Bradley stared at him in amazement. Jeff smiled. I don't mind sitting next to you, really. Bradley just didn't know what to say. And I have been to the White House, Jeff admitted. If you want, I'll tell you about it. Bradley thought a moment and then he said, give me $1 or I'll spit on you.
That's kind of rude.
Kind of rude?